Starting up a company and then convincing some mega corporation to buy it out for $100 billion is, more or less, the American dream. And for Snapple, the makers of everyone's favorite lemon tea, that dream came true. Only for consumers, it turned out to be a nightmare. Which is why today we're taking a look at how going corporate killed Snapple. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel. After that, please leave a comment and let us know what other beverages you would like to hear about. All right, and now for some real facts about how Snapple turned into Crapple. The Snapple story begins in 1972, when Brooklyn window washer Leonard Marsh banded together with his brother-in-law, Hyman Golden, and their childhood pal, Arnold Greenberg, to start a company with the most boring name they could think of, Unadulterated Foods. Despite the comically bland moniker, however, their company would make beverage history. But it was gonna take a while. The trio had a plan to tap into the growing new age market for health foods. But, in his own words, Marsh knew as much about juice as making an atom bomb. It's an interesting choice of words, because when the boys finally started figuring out how to, make juice, they almost blew up their entire operation. Literally. One of their first attempts at making carbonated apple juice exploded. Long story short, the team didn't know squat about the fermentation process, and their batch went out with a big stinky bang. Reflecting on their fizzy misfortune, Goldman would later say, "We'd made champagne." Inspired by their explosive mishap, the company called their first flavor Snapple, a play on the OG apple flavor, and a propensity for their carbonated caps to quote-unquote snap off. This whimsical name would far outlive the drink from whence it came, because even though their first experiment ended in disaster, Unadulterated Foods wisely adopted a new moniker and would forever be known as Snapple. The company's first line of flavors consisted of juicy variations on their original apple concoction, and they would spend years hustling those products all over town. But their real breakthrough would come in 1987, when they began bottling their now iconic lemon tea. And while the founders had no way of knowing it at the time, that tea was about to tee off some massive success for them. With their extremely chill attitude and allegedly health-conscious ingredients, Snapple blasted into the early 90s like so many bottle caps in a backroom brew house.
Would you like to sample our vegan bacon? 100% meatless.
Yes, please.
Eschewing the typically boring approach to health foods, the company instead went with unconventional ads, casual branding, and over-the-top endorsements. Even their bottles were completely unique, with their stout design and inlaid glass logo. Wrapped in brightly colored artistic representations of their fruity endeavors, the Snapple bottle looked like something made with love. And it worked. Health food nuts fell head over sandals for the stuff. And thanks to the ensuing success, Snapple went national in 1992.
America's best tasting all-natural sports drink.
But they didn't do it alone. Wendy Kaufman, a former Snapple administrator, might not have looked like your average star.
Hello from Snapple.
But because of her infectious demeanor, her kindly commitment to answering fan mail at company headquarters, and some seriously clever folks at Snapple's advertising agency, she would wind up becoming an unlikely face for the whole company. By placing Wendy front and center in their new campaigns, Snapple brewed themselves up some serious mainstream commercial appeal. Before long, people were calling her Wendy the Snapple Lady.
Hi, a kid in high school wrote to me from detention.
And her unexpectedly charming Long Island accent made everyone want a taste of something made from the best stuff on earth. Of course, Wendy wasn't the only one slinging Snapple wares. Though co-founder Greenberg said he knew as much about shock jock radio as carbonating apple juice, the company decided to make Howard Stern their first official spokesman.
Everybody loves Snapple.
The relationship was extremely fruitful for all involved. And with similar praise coming from conservative commentator Rush Limbaugh, Snapple made it clear it wasn't afraid of a little controversy.
Okay, Jeff, don't move.
With commercials that skewered the competition and highly irreverent humor, Snapple's branding was as anti-corporate as their business model. Distributed by a network of small independent beverage distributors, Snapple built relationships with blue-collar vendors who knew how to get products into local corner stores. Relegated to the stuffy health food shops no longer, their juices and teas flowed freely into every state, nearly 2 decades after the company was founded. In 1994, at the height of its popularity, Snapple was purchased by Quaker Oats. for a whopping $1.7 billion. Financial experts of the day considered the price a massive overbid, but Quaker didn't care. Coca-Cola was sniffing around at the same purchase, and Quaker was in it to win it. And once the purchase was complete, Quaker wisely noted that Snapple's customer base had a strong attachment to the company's quirky, anti-corporate image, and vowed not to mess with the recipe that brought so much success. Not really. Quaker immediately started fiddling with everything.
Stop that.
Having previously dominated the industry with their acquisition of Gatorade, Quaker thought they could play just as hard with Snapple. So like a bull in a glass bottle shop, the new parent company completely changed Snapple's approach to marketing, and pretty much everything else. Wendy, the Snapple lady, continued her letter-answering duties to devoted fans, but Quaker unceremoniously removed her from Snapple's ads. Instead, they switched over to more conventional commercials, inspired by boring soda campaigns. And Snapple essentially lost its flavor overnight. Quaker also made the unsportsmanlike decision to completely abandon Snapple's independent distributor network. You know, the ones who made the company a success in the first place. Having completely misjudged the wake-and-bake nature of their customer base, the move quickly lost them their hold over corner store markets. And even those beloved glass Snapple bottles received an unsightly update. For some reason, probably profits, Quaker decided to switch to bigger containers. And in the process, they shamefully redesigned Snapple's trademark look into something decidedly more ordinary. No longer bearing the chunky glass name, Snapple bottles had even less personality than the Wendy-free ad spots. Ultimately, Quaker's changes did so much damage to the brand, you might think that they were trying to destroy what consumers loved about Snapple. Despite burning up even more cash on a series of bland rebrands, Snapple's sales and popularity tanked. But if you think Quaker's the type of company that would just give up on a billion-dollar purchase and run for the hills, you are completely correct. Like a lover scorned, Quaker decided to cut their losses a mere 27 months after the big buyout. They sold the brand to a company called Triarch for a piddly $300 million, losing themselves nearly $1.5 billion on the whole fiasco. Unfortunately for lemon tea fanatics, the controversies don't end in bad business deals or the callous elimination of a kindly spokeslady. Because when it comes to litigious liquids, Snapple might be the messiest corporation of them all. In 2009, a lawsuit in California alleged Snapple was serving a bottle full of lies to Golden State consumers. According to the plaintiffs, Snapple didn't really contain the fruit juices the colorful labels proclaimed. And despite their generally laid-back reputation, Californians were pissed. A similar lawsuit was filed in the Federal District of New Jersey in 2010. Angered over the sticky claim that high-fructose corn syrup was being counted as a natural ingredient, the Jersey courts took their grievances to the FDA, who bravely declined to comment. Just 1 year later, another high-fructose lawsuit arose in Snapple's home state of New York. Not much came of it, but like a vat of lemon tea, a storm was a-brewing. In the early aughts, Snapple struck up a deal with the New York school system, by which the company donated a generous $8 million a year to public schools that offered Snapple products to students. The point was to dissuade kids from choosing soda, because of all the sugar it contained. To that end, Snapple introduced a line of 100% juice products just for students. But funny story, turns out each of those drinks packed more sugar than a can of Coke. New Yorkers were not happy. And then there was the time some conspiratorial-minded consumers went around claiming that the K symbol printed on each Snapple bottle was an endorsement of the Ku Klux Klan.
The Snapple company has no idea how the rumor started.
Of course, the symbol actually denotes the presence of kosher ingredients, which is obviously not a big priority for the Klan. But the Snapple conspiracy theorists weren't about to let something as insignificant as the truth stand in their way. And they weren't done yet either. Because the label bears a small logo of a ship, many of what we assume were the same overly imaginative types decided it must be a reference to literal slave ships. It's actually meant to be a celebration of the Boston Tea Party, and Snapple, founded in the 1970s, didn't really have much to do with the slave trade. But, you know, facts, whatever. After purchasing Snapple for a song from Quaker, the Triarch Corporation vowed to set things right. Restoring the brand's old quirky image, the company revived those bizarre commercials and bright labels consumers came to love. They even returned to Snapple's independent distribution model. And once back in the corner stores of a new age, lemon tea was reclaimed by those same slackers who first championed it. Then, in 2002, Snapple made the smartest decision they made since hiring Wendy. they introduced their now iconic Snapple facts under the bottle caps. In case you're wondering, the first Snapple fact was, a goldfish's attention span is 3 seconds. Not every Snapple fact is entirely accurate, but the idea definitely signaled a laid-back return to form. Triarch's marketing savvy proved that Snapple still had the juice, and in 2000, they reaped the rewards by selling the brand to Cadbury Schweppes for just under $1.5 billion. But for many, the damage was already done. When you turn a quirky independent success story into a big corporate machine, you can't always put the lemon tea-flavored genie back into the bottle. And underscoring that point is the fact that all of the aforementioned lawsuits and controversies fell under Cadbury Schweppes' watch. Today, Snapple continues to make up a decent portion of the industry's tea and juice markets.
Oh, we can do more than that.
But the lesson here is, big, heartless multinational corporations are going to be big, heartless multinational corporations, even when they're selling the best stuff on earth. So what do you think? Is Snapple really back? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're there, check out some more videos from Weird History Food.